Welcome back to NBA Center. So more on this Jimmy Butler saga, and he's getting defended by an unlikely source. Former rival Boston Celtics legend Paul Pierce has come out and he's had some things to say over the last few days. We've seen Paul Pierce go at Miami Heat players and staples of their culture for a long time. Him and Udonis Haslam had a whole back and forth last year. You can check it out on this channel, but um, we're gonna look at what he said on Fox the other day, and also, what he put on X. Let's check it out.
I think heat culture lives, Pat Riley brought heat culture. And what I want to say about that, I think he's slowly destroying heat culture. And what I mean by that, this new generation is different now, guys. And Jimmy Butler's at the end of the new generation, but coming up, when you look at when heat culture started, when Shaq and Lonzo and Haslam and Wade and all got there, look what he's done to his star players since heat culture started. He ran Shaq out of town. You ran LeBron out of town. You ran D Wade out of town, of all people. One who drafted, who won your first championship with. Then you kind of try to make up for it. Now you running Jimmy Butler out of town. This, to me, tells me that heat culture lives and dies with Pat Riley. And if he doesn't change the way he is, being, kind of like stubborn and don't want to pay guys and it's his way or the highway, then I don't see heat culture being the same any longer. Yeah.
So Paul Pierce takes the X. He says the players see what's going on with all Miami superstars. So why would another superstar player go to Miami if this how they all get treated with no respect after what they have done for the franchise? So Paul Pierce, doubling down on the comments he made yesterday on television, and there's some validity there. You look at how Shaq was ran out of town, LeBron James, D Wade should have been a guy that stayed, but I think with D Wade, a lot of that is guys still thinking they deserve a certain level of money. Pat Riley's like, I'm not gonna overpay for an injured player and be stuck with him. Shaq, well past his prime, and button heads with Pat Riley. Pat Riley runs that ship, and so Pat Riley, he's not really gonna bend too much. But it is true, Paul Pierce could see how superstars are being treated, and Paul Pierce saying like other superstars can see how other players are being treated, and kind of just cool on Miami whenever they come up as a destination or potential destination in free agency and things like that. Well, Sam Mitchell and Isaiah Thomas, they had a different take on what's going on with Jimmy Butler. They're looking at it as if Jimmy Butler's been a troublemaker. You look at how some of the things ended in Chicago. You look at, um, how it ended in Minnesota with Cat and Andrew Wiggins, and now you look at this. There's also a pattern of Jimmy Butler, things going sour towards the end of his tenures. So let's check out what they had to say.
I want to see me get my joy back from playing basketball. And wherever that may be, we'll find out here pretty soon. But I want to get my joy back. I'm happy here, off the court. But I want to be back to somewhat dominant. I want to hoop. And I want to help this team win. Right now, I'm not doing that.
Can you get your joy back here on the court?
Probably not.
Those were Jimmy Butler's comments from last night. The team has now responded. He is officially suspended for 7 games for, quote, multiple instances of conduct detrimental to the team. Now, this comes, guys, just 8 days after Pat Riley announced that they are not trading Jimmy Butler. The team is now saying that they're open for business from all offers. Coach, I just want to get your initial thoughts because this news just came out about 15, 20 minutes ago.
It's tough. I feel for the Miami Heat and players in that organization because Jimmy seems to do this everywhere he goes. He'll have a great run for 2, 3, 4 years, and then all of a sudden something will happen or something is said that he don't agree with. And Jimmy seems like the type of person, he just can't let stuff slide off his back.
Yeah.
He just can't let it go. It's like, he's like that kid, we're passing licks, he got to get the last lick.
Yeah.
Or he's got to get the last word. And he's in a tough situation, and Miami's in a tough situation because, Zeke, you know this, you've been a general manager. You got an aging superstar that wants an extension. He see all this money, Paul George, all this money is being passed around, but yet he's been missing games. And in Miami culture, You got to be available, and you got to play to a certain standard. And when he didn't do that, Miami didn't offer him an extension. And so now he's upset. And to me, it's one thing, go in the office, knock on the door, sit down with Pat Riley, ask for a trade. But what he's doing now to his teammates.
Yeah.
See, I may be mad at the coach. I may be mad at the owner and the GM. But one thing I'm never going to do, I cannot do, I can't quit on y'all. Y'all my teammates. I just can't. We done been through too much. We hang out too much. I'm godparent, I'm this, I'm that. We're in each other's houses, we're friends, we're brothers. No matter what's going on with me, I can't quit on y'all. And that's the thing that's disturbing for me for Jimmy. I can understand being upset with the organization. We've all been there. But being upset and quit on your teammates, who you have called your brothers, can't do it.
Yeah, all that you just laid out is true. So at the end of the day, you know, when trust is broken between the player and the organization, and that's where we're at now, right? There's no trust between management. There's no trust between players. And when that trust is broken, Sam, when the organization says, forget you,
Yeah.
I'm using forget you
Yeah.
instead of the real one, and that player says, forget you, right? You got to separate. There's no coming back when it's public like this and the organization has basically said, this is where we stand, and the player has said, this is where we stand. Now, there's no happy medium. And the only place you can really get to is there's got to be a departure. There's got to be a breakup. And it seems like Miami and Jimmy Butler is headed for a break.
So, now all valid points by Isaiah Thomas and Sam Mitchell, right? And I have no problem with anything that they said. I think sometimes some personal struggles that you have when basketball becomes a business and you've adopted this family philosophy, something like the Heat culture, something Jimmy Butler felt so strongly a part of. When the separation comes, it hurts. And not to get too personal with Jimmy Butler, but when you start talking about his bad exits with teams, I think about like even the abandonment issues with his mom. Sometimes those personal things like that, it creeps into the business when you buy all the way in. You know what I'm saying? Jimmy Butler bought all the way into um, Minnesota to Chicago to Miami, but you know when it comes to an end, it's not pretty. And Jimmy wants that type of money at this stage. And notice it's never really been a problem. And oh yeah, let me not forget this. Jimmy feels a way about Philly too because it was supposed to be him and Embiid. You know, they were one Kawhi Leonard shot away with KD going down from winning a championship and really just changing the whole narrative kind of around Embiid's career and Philadelphia's process, right? Um, but that ended nasty. But he rightfully so, right? Sometimes Jimmy had a right to be mad that was it Tobias that got the bag over him. You know, they chose Tobias Harris. So some of these gripes that Jimmy has had has been legit. I think this one, I don't know everything going on behind the scenes, so I can't speak from an absolute standpoint. But I do know that Pat Riley can't pay Jimmy Butler the was it 200 million he's seeking. I can't remember the exact number, but it was well over 200, I believe. You can't pay Jimmy Butler that type of money right now. The Miami Heat have missed their championship window. They had 5 years where they were competing, kind of getting into the playoffs. Remind me of how the New York Giants got into 2 years. They won their Super Bowls. And they get all the way to the finals and they just didn't capitalize. And they didn't get that other offensive player. As good as Bam is, he's not going to be the guy that can score you meaningful baskets, when it comes time to win a championship. Yeah, they can upset some teams that, in this league, they jack up too many threes and they're playing the right way. But when they ran up against that particular Denver Nuggets team, they were just way too much for them. So Jimmy, like I said, he did all he could with this roster, and there's some valid points there with what Zeke and those guys say. But also, Paul Pierce, he won't totally off base with what he said. Pat Riley coming into this era, it may not be the era for him. At the same time, I like an organization that upholds that, and the guy who runs the show is at the top. Even if sometimes a LeBron might leave you, it like I miss when the game was like that, man. It used to be easier to watch when the players didn't have all the power. Like Adam Silver tries to be their friend way too much. These guys come in to the game dressed all foolish and all this type of stuff. So, from that standpoint, I don't know, man. I don't. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section, or don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.